They drew a circle, shut me out. Heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and took them in. Please rise and body your spirit for the opening hymn.
So we're going to do a new hymn for the hymn of the month, the song of the month. I want to teach it to you, and then once we have it, I'm going to do something a little bit different. We are going to sing it to each other because it's a call and response song. So we'll split right down the middle, and then we'll do the call and response. Kathy will lead one side, I will lead the other, and it will work, I promise. But let me teach it to you first. There's two parts, one that's call and response, one we do all together, and I'll tell you which they are. So my chord again. So I will sing, y'all echo. Courage,
Courage,
my friend.
my friend.
Now this is the part, we'll do it all together in a minute, but I'll sing it for you first. You will not be alone. You will not be alone. You will not be alone. My part. We will go with you, and sing your spirit home. Yes. And it is be with you, not go with you. So let's try that again to make sure everybody's solid with it. Part one. Courage,
Courage,
my friend.
my friend.
You will not be alone. We will go with you,
be with you,
and sing your spirit home. And now I'm going to invite you to turn just a little bit. Y'all turn this way, y'all turn this way, and you're going to sing to each other. But you over here will follow me, you over here will follow Kathy. So are we all ready? We are. This is going to be so great. Okay. Courage,
courage,
my friend.
my friend.
You will not be alone. We will be with you, and sing your spirit home. Justice,
Justice,
my
Welcome. I'm Reverend Meredith Barber. I'm one of your ministers, and I'm so glad that you've chosen to worship with us this morning. I have a lot of things to tell you, so bear with me. The first one is that Together Baton Rouge is having what they're calling civic academies, and those are to learn about the Thrive plan that you might have heard about. They're not taking a position on it, they're just presenting information. And so the Civic Academy for our area is going to be on October 7th at 6 p.m. at St. Mary Baptist Church, so I'd encourage all of you to attend. Next Saturday, church member Bobby Thompson will be guest at the Baton Rouge Gallery, and he'll be sharing his poetry. So please come out and support him. This week, for middle hour programming, we have in room 5, the Parenting Support in Tumultuous Times group. In room 6, we have Minister Meet and Greet. And in room 7, we have the Social Justice Subteam on Climate. We have Dr. Kelly Gilbert discussing the relationship between climate and religion. Also, a strategic planning member will be in the fellowship hall during middle hour, so bring them your questions, concerns, and feedback cards. On Wednesday, there will be a fire pit gathering from 6 to 8 p.m. And next Sunday, October 12th, Family Ministries will have an event brainstorming session from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Finally, Gen Zoo is canceled today due to weather. So with that, let us deepen into a spirit of worship.
You gotta love a story with props, right? So I'm going to do something totally impromptu. Is there somebody on the chancel who would be willing to hold a puppet for me? I actually need 2 puppet holders. So, thank you, y'all. You are such good sports. Oh my goodness. Okay. You want us to pass it? No, I've already passed them out. I just need y'all to do the things, and actually give that to Meredith, because Meredith gets to come play too. Oh, you are that, you are this. Meredith, you are. Okay, and I need one more person who will hold a puppet. I think you have those. I think your dad's got one. Okay, I will tell you when to pull it out. So you'll need to sign. Okay. Okay. No. Well, you can invite him up here with you. That would work. Cool. Okay. I need this and that to come to the front. So, do not fall over my box. Thank you. So, once upon a time, there were 2 kinds. This, hold your puppet up, this, and that. Excellent. These, that's this, and those, until, honk, what kind are you? I'm both. You can't be both. You're neither. I'm neither? Why don't you go find someplace else? You're not one of us. You're neither. Neither, neither, neither. You can go sit down, this and that. I know. Mm-hmm. Hold your puppet up. She says, "Where did you come from?" Honk. I'm from the land of this and that, but I'm neither. So I'm looking for somewhere else to fit in. This is your line, so you can wave it around a little if you want. This isn't somewhere else, but you'll fit in here. Where is here? This is the land of all. We have a sign, if you could tape up, the land of all. Thank you. This is the land of all. Everybody who has a puppet in the congregation, hold your puppet up high and turn it around so everybody can see. so many different kinds. And they all said together, say with me after I say, come play with us. Try that. Come play with us. A little bit louder. Come play with us. But I'm different from everyone here. You can put your puppets down for now. I'm neither red, nor orange, nor yellow, nor blue. Everybody say together, exactly. Exactly. This is the land of all, and everyone fits in here. Once upon a time, there were many kinds. Hold your puppet up when I say your name. This and that, somewhat and what not, either, very, sort of, just, rather, a little, neither, and both. Yay. And wave your puppets around so everybody can see. You can even turn them around so they can see the pretty backs of them. And all were welcome. Thank you. You can put your puppets under your seats.
And with that, I'd like us to try to transition from that energy into the morning's prayer. Would you join me in a moment of prayer and reflection? The God that we know and we see hope and kindness and love, whatever it is that keeps you going, whatever it is that has held you, please be with us on this day. And bless all of those who are able to come out. All of those who are able to be themselves, all of those who look in the face of the stresses of this world and trust who you are. And help us to hold in this space all who are grieving today, all who are longing for stability and sobriety and health, all who wish for a world without war and without violence, where difference is celebrated. May whatever it is that you are holding today be carried on and have an impact in a way that can grow you and this world stronger and more accepting and more loving. May you know the world is better because you are here, all of you. Amen.
This morning we have a card for Wendy Garnier as she recovers from surgery. We send her wishes for healing. And I also want to share that the Reverend Barbara Carlson will be memorialized next Saturday in Bloomington, Indiana, where she was Minister Emerita, and she'll be celebrated here on Saturday, October 18th. Each week we place stones in the chalice that represent things we might be bringing into this space. And I'd like to invite you in a moment to come forward along the east and west walls to lay your stones down among us. Please come forward as you wish. these words, we light our chalice. Gonna do it to me again. With hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is a symbol of the power of love.
From all that will below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung through every land by every tongue.
On behalf of the member congregations and communities of the UUA, we proclaim that our principles and values unequivocally commit our faith to honor and celebrate the full spectrum of gender identity and expression. Being transgender or identifying with any gender other than the one assigned at birth is a beautiful and divine manifestation of humanity, as is being intersex or having sex characteristics that vary from what is considered typical. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm the inherent worthiness and dignity of each person as a core principle. The ability to live ever more authentically as one's true self is central to a lifelong journey towards spiritual fulfillment. We hereby pledge our collective faithful efforts to the full affirmation and celebration of transgender, non-binary, intersex, and gender-diverse people within our congregations and the wider community, and uphold this commitment as a fundamental obligation revealed by our principles and values.
we get into it, I want to just name two things. One is Queer Fat, while it does raise money for the church, that was never the goal. And we have all of the stuff that we were selling for whatever donation you want to make out today. So if you feel like you missed it, you want to get some of that, it's out there. And the second is, I know that it was just kind of mentioned in one of the 800 announcements we had today about the Civic Academy on Tuesday, but Together Baton Rouge has done a lot of study on what is being asked of you in a month on this Thrive plan the mayor has. If the city votes for it, there are consequences. If it votes against it, there are consequences, and both are complicated. So I want you to know, this is not just oh, you should come support this. They did some research, and I think it's really important that as many voters know about this as possible. So this Tuesday at St. Mary's Baptist Church is when Together Baton Rouge is going to present their 6 o'clock. And there's opportunities to have it again, but I want to really have that marked for you. So that previous reading you heard, it came from the 2024 General Assembly. It was a vote of all of the delegates of that assembly. And to say that another way, representatives from all of this country's Unitarian Universalist communities voted overwhelmingly to say that trans, non-binary, and intersex people are whole and holy. They did this for a few reasons. First, this may not come as a shock to any of you, but a lot of these folks are under attack culturally, politically, religiously, so it stands as a statement of faith. Second is it points to our long history of being or trying to be welcoming to folks on the LGBTQ community. And the third is it gives the Unitarian Universalist Association legal grounds to challenge a lot of the laws that are being put out right now. So there was an actual logistical piece to passing that. And because Queer Fest happened yesterday, and in recognition of National Coming Out Day this upcoming week, the theme of today's service is We Are Coming Out. Today's meant to be a celebration of who you are and of this church being what it is. So I'm going to start in a little bit of a stranger place. Then I'm going to say something at the end of the service that will deeply trouble some Louisianians and especially LSU fans. So you got to stick with me. That's like your teaser to the end of the service. But for now, I want to start with the obvious place we should go on the day after Queer Fest on Coming Out Week: football. It's okay, I promise. So I went to LSU. And when I was a freshman, I did not know a lot about football, and I had no idea about the tailgating culture. I'd go to sleep in my dorm on a regular LSU Friday night, and then I would be blasted awake by very loud pop and classic rock music. I would stumble out of my room to see my campus converted into a white, middle-aged, barbecuing, generator fume-pumping, indescribably noisy hub for people I did not ever expect to see on my campus. Eventually, I got used to it, but the first few times were utterly surreal. While there were countless strangers behaving in all sorts of weird ways on these Saturdays, there was one behavior that stood out to me that I'm bringing up today. So my freshman and sophomore year at LSU, these were in the 1998 and 1999 seasons. They were under Coach Jerry DiNardo, and both of these seasons were dramatic disappointments. There was one game day that I am thinking of where I noticed this particular behavior. It was a Kentucky game. This is back in the Tim Couch days, and the game was in the afternoon, I believe, and many of the tailgaters were getting drunker and drunker and drunker as the day progressed. As was the custom then, and maybe it still is now, but I don't hear it as much, when anyone wearing the opposing team's colors, in this case Kentucky's blue, whenever they would walk by, the drunken fans would start shouting "Tiger bait" at the people. And sometimes the LSU fans would follow them and continue to shout more and more. On this particular day, I saw three white, probably 20, 30-something-year-olds, visibly drunk, getting angrier and angrier at these Kentucky fans walking past them. The Kentucky fans kept their heads down. They made no eye contact. There was no enticement or back and forth. And after the yelling got louder and louder, these LSU fans started pelting them with ice from their ice chest. For the rest of my time at LSU, I always paid extra attention to who the opposing team was each week, and I always made sure to wear whatever clothes were not matching that team's colors. I'll come back to that situation later in the service, but I want you to know that here is what we are doing today. So for those who either weren't here last night or are visiting and you're just like, I don't know, why are there toilets out on the lawn? We had our second annual Queer Fete. This is an LGBT-led effort, but it was never only LGBT folks. It is designed to showcase queer artists, but it was never supposed to be only for the queer community. We had a queer Cajun band, and as a wordplay enthusiast, I love this, but I can only explain it to people who are from here because my colleagues don't get it, but they were called Gay Dodo, like Faye Dodo. And we had a poet laureate, we had a social justice folk artist, Chris Matthews, as the headliner. She's going to hate this, but Cappy Landrino really drove a lot of this. I mean, she put together a huge team of people to be a part of it. But about 2.5 years ago, Cappy, and the reason she's going to hate it is she doesn't want this for her or her attention. It's just she was the source of the idea. She came to me and she said, we need to have a queer music festival at this church. And she worked hard with a lot of people who spent a lot of hours to make this happen. Cappy and the team reached out to a number of churches and businesses and organizations to get sponsorships, not necessarily for money, but so that we could list them as supporters of this. It was and is a celebration of what can happen when people are allowed to be who they are and affirmed for supporting it. Affirmed and supported for it. This was a practice of us living out our values in this church implicitly. It is a manifestation and a synthesis of the best of what this church can do. So the question I will leave you is with part one of the sermon during this offering is, what does it mean to be a part of a church that asks you to not necessarily think about how the world is, but how the world could be? What does it mean to be a part of a church that asks you to be fully who you are? And more specifically, who are you? Who have you been wanting to be? What affirmation and community support do you need for you to be able to become who you've always known you were meant to be?
Our shared offering for the month of October goes to Dialogue on Race. Dialogue on Race Louisiana is dedicated to the elimination of racism through education, action, and transformation. They offer conversations about race that are designed to lead to understanding and change. Let's support this much-needed work. The offering will now be joyfully given and received.
We do not need to repeat the basic truth that trans people exist, holy and whole in this world. We are called instead to proclaim that we have your backs, and you are not in this alone. Our transgender, intersex, and non-binary beloveds, my family and yours, are not only real, but sacred, deeply beloved, and deserving of celebration, safety, and belonging. I send love upon love to the interconnected family that we are for one another, knowing that the power of community is life-saving in these authoritarian times. We are real, we are here, we are united in all the ways we can be, and we remain committed to the struggle ahead and the future we will make together.
That was a statement from the president of our Unitarian Universalist Association, the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt. We are experiencing this service and QueerFet on the same week that our president called every American general from every corner of the world at unknown expense back to America so that they could be lectured about masculinity and be given veiled threats about who they are and who they are not allowed to be. We are currently in a time where rigid gender norms are being pushed hard. And I've been thinking about this type of gender a lot lately. It feels to me like these articulations of gender do not come from the inside as something innate to who a person is. They seem to be something that needs to be externally enforced. It's as if gender identity were so fragile that if every military professional in the entire every American military professional in the entire world is not gathered and lectured on gender, somehow they will all backslide into some sort of non-binary genders. Recently, I've noticed that there are expressions of gender that function more like a skeleton, that are sturdy and stable from the inside, but they leave you vulnerable and exposed to the world. And then there are expressions of gender that have no spine. They are entirely outward focused, like an exoskeleton, like a hard shell that needs to protect the gooey, unsupportable inside. This is a skeletal faith. It is not an exoskeleton faith. We put our vulnerabilities on the front and trust that what is at the center will protect us and make the world better. I believe that all good religions do that. This skeletal understanding of gender asks you to discern, to figure out who you are, and to own that, and to live sturdy, knowing that it means you are also being vulnerable to the world. The current manifestation of gender we are seeing being articulated by our current administration is exoskeletal gender. It is one where all of the expressions of gender, and especially masculinity, is externally promoted, projected, and enforced. It is not about knowing you are a man per se and trusting it. It's about wearing the right clothes, treating women a specific way, engaging with emotions in a certain way. It is about proving it externally. And it comes from somewhere. There are subcultures all over this country, and we are only exposed to a handful of those subcultures. The subculture of being a black Chicagoan or a third-generation rich Korean New Yorker or a white South Louisianian, all of those are different subcultures. And the white Livingston poor subculture is different from the rich Livingston white subculture, which is different from the Ascension Parish subculture, and on and on. And there is a Unitarian Universalist subculture. And there is a Unitarian Universalist in Baton Rouge subculture. And there is a Unitarian Universalist who identify as pagans and those who identify as those who were raised in the faith, and those who converted, and those who are baby boomers, and those who are Generation X, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of these are subcultures. If you have attended some of the evangelical or mega churches here in town, or if you come out of this particular manifestation of faith, there are a few subcultures that many in this church may be unaware of. And I saw those subcultures highlighted in a startling way at the funeral of Charlie Kirk a few weeks ago. When I was on sabbatical, I attended both Healing Place and Bethany during my and I experienced some of the subcultures I grew up around in Slidell, Louisiana, that have never really been here within Unitarian Universalism. When I attended both of these churches, which were more racially diverse than us, it appeared to be more socioeconomically diverse than us. But the ministers, not just the sermon, but all of the people up on the chancel, they spent a lot of time talking about protein bars and protein powder. I heard more about protein powder in those handful of services than I have in maybe a decade. But they were not brought up as the main subject of anything that they were talking about. They were little asides or side examples under the assumption that it was something that everyone in that community held culturally in common. I'm not coming out against protein powder or whatever. I'm trying to use that as an example of different subcultures that you may or may not be engaged in. Some of the subcultures of megachurches and evangelical churches, by no means all, and I am not now talking about Bethany or Healing Place. The only thing I'm calling them out for is the weird protein powder thing. Everything else is now more generic. But some of the subcultures of megachurches and evangelical churches can include a hyper-religious exoskeleton type of expressions of faith and gender with an overemphasis on strength, masculinity, and a downplaying of empathy as dangerous. It can articulate God as simple, specific, rigid, and delivered with so much certainty that doubt and reason and even faith have no place in this subculture. And if you are not aware of these religious subcultures, it may be hard to find containers to put a lot of the rhetoric that we are experiencing in right now. The minister's job is to find hope and to tell you that everything's going to be okay. And if things aren't going to be okay, that they will at least be well at some point. And I can tell you that my colleagues have been struggling to give you those answers every week recently. Right now is a faith point in our denomination. There is a lot about the state of this world that we cannot control. And for Unitarian Universalists, and especially white Unitarian Universalists, a lot of this religious identity is about us being able to control and change everything. I see backsliding and violence and division everywhere. The Queer Fet team spent a lot of time contemplating what would happen if there were an active shooter or protest or disruptions. And I've been a UU for a long time, and I have heard the fear and rhetoric about people not understanding this church and disrupting what we're doing. And this church has always operated with a low murmur of vandalism and community threats because we insist on inclusion and liberal, expansive theologies. But this is the first time that I've heard those concerns articulated as if interference and violence were expected. And the fact that there were not protests seemed to be the exception and the celebration at the end of the event. The worst part for me is that it didn't feel like these anxieties were unfounded. But that is how terrorism works. The threat of violence or reprisal is enough to scare people into complying. And it's not just with the state of LGBT folks in this country. I'm worried that we are inventing right now in real time a new version of state-sponsored racism. I have been reading about some really dangerous ICE raids that are happening in Chicago and all over this country that are specifically targeting people based on language and appearance. One article, they interviewed an ICE officer who said to a white reporter, "We are not arresting people who look like you." So bringing it back to my job, which is hope, I do not believe this is our forever trajectory. I do believe there will be a change eventually, maybe soon, I don't know. Because you can only bend the branch so far back before it snaps back. So I see change coming, but that change may be out of our hands as individuals or even as a congregation. So what can we do as a religious people as we wait and hope for things to turn? Let me say it another way. This is not only the only hard time in this country's history. This is not the only time where the Supreme Court gave unparalleled power to those in charge. This is not the first time the Supreme Court allowed for different classes of people. This is not the first time we were given multiple sources of media that said vastly different things. And this is not the first time in this country's history where there have been completely different narratives about who is safe and who is worthy and who is not. The questions we have are, one, what is our role as Unitarian Universalists, individually and a congregation, to help weather the storm? Two, how can we be okay as we weather it? Three, how do we make it to the other end with as few people being harmed as possible? And four, when we have a chance to rebuild the city and the state and this country, how will we do it with love and justice at the center? Last year, one of the performers at QueerFest was a minister who serves our congregation in College Station, Texas. Their name is Kaya Hartwood. They are a wonderful folk singer, and we were lucky to have them last year. Their spouse is also a folk singer and also a Unitarian Universalist minister. Her name is Meg Barnhouse, and she has been struggling pretty hard with advanced cancer. She's been staying with us longer than I expected, so when she came last year and performed at our service after QueerFest, it was a gift. They were not able to be here this year, but I still wanted to bring some of that tradition of our first celebration into this service. So the song we're about to do, let me tell you kind of what's going to happen for the next few chunks. The song we're about to do comes out of the writings of a Christian mystic, Julian of Norwich. She had a fever dream of sorts where Jesus came to her and said that all will be well. In 1200s Europe, where she is from, was not a great time to have an idea that all will be well. But that was the vision she carried with her. Meg's song, which we will hear in a minute, and I will invite you to join in the chorus of, is a dialogue she is having with Julian of Norwich. After that, we will invite up two members of the QueerFest team, through whatever circumstance of who was available and not exhausted after last night. Both members of that team are straight and cis, to the best that I can figure, but they are reading the words of a gay white minister. And so there is some me and I and my people, but I wanted you to hear from members of QueerFest. So we're going to do the All Will Be Well, we're going to hear that reading, and then we'll do another hymn. Does that make sense?
I'm going to run the chorus twice, and then we'll do the verse. All will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. All will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, do you not know about sorrow? Julian, do you not know about pain? I said, Julian, Do you not know? Do you not know about hunger? And Julian, do you not know? Do you not know about shame? I said, Julian, do you know? Do you not know about loneliness? And Julian, do you not know? Do you not know about disease? I said, Julian, do you not know? Do you not know about cruelty? I said, Julian, it's too much. It brought me to my knees. And she said, all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well. She said, no one does not know about sorrow. No one does not know about pain. She said, no one does not know about hunger. No one does not know about shame. She said, no one does not know about loneliness, and no one does not know about disease. She said, no one does not know about cruelty. She said, I know. It's too much. It brought me to my knees where I heard, all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well. She said, baby girl, do you not know about tenderness? And baby girl, do you not know about friends? She said, baby girl, do you not know about the Spirit? She said, baby girl, do you not know it's only love that never ends? She said, all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well, and all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well.
Hi, I'm Penny Nichols.
And I am Laura Richardson.
We've been asked to read for you an article written by a UU minister, Sean Neil Barron, after an unsettling Supreme Court decision. The Supreme Court recently ruled that my existence is too dangerous for elementary school. Listen, I get fear. I've watched good people get told that love like mine is contagious, that visibility is violence, that their children's souls hang in the balance of a library book. The fear is real. The fear is also being weaponized.
But here's what breaks my heart and lights my fire. Religious liberty was never meant to be an invisibility cloak for the rest of us. It's the right to believe what you believe, not the right to make the world pretend queer people don't exist.
This ruling says that showing kids a book where an uncle marries his boyfriend, or a princess falls in love with a tomboy knight, or a child uses they, them pronouns is enough to trigger the highest level of constitutional scrutiny.
Not because schools are forcing kids to change their beliefs, just because queer people appear in the story.
Public schools aren't asking these parents to throw a pride parade in their living room. They're asking their kids to share a classroom with the actual world.
To learn that some families look different. To practice the radical skill of not treating differences like a disease.
But now, Every parent can demand advance notice and opt-out rights for any book, any lesson, any mention of anything that conflicts with their religious belief.
The court just handed religious conservatives a weapon to gut public education from the inside, and they'll use it.
Because they can't afford to lose the culture war, so they're making sure there's no shared culture left to fight over.
We don't get to love people in theory and erase them in practice.
We don't get to sing about religious freedom while demanding secular science.
And we sure as hell don't get to protect our children by teaching them that other children are too dangerous to acknowledge.
The world is already queer, already beautiful, already broken, already here.
Our kids deserve to know it,
All of it,
even the parts that make us uncomfortable.
especially the parts that make us uncomfortable.
Because comfort was never the goal, community was.
And we invite you to rise as you are willing and able and sing this with us.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
The question of what we can do in these times was made manifest last night. We can celebrate community when those in power want nothing more than to wipe out parts of this community. And I know that it is tempting for us to feel like we're the saved ones, we're the good ones, we're the ones who are doing everything right. Maybe sometimes we just need that in a world that is targeting so many of you so often. But good ministry is helping you grow also. My entire ministry has been figuring out what is going on here in Louisiana and in a hope that it can be fixed. And that is no different today than it was when I started here more than a decade ago. I promised I would offend some of you Louisianians and especially LSU fans when I say the answer to what we need in these times, so prepare. What we need right now is Nick Saban. All right, no. Here is what he did when he came here in the year 2000. He saw the resources in Louisiana. He saw the passion for football. He saw the talent in the state. He saw the money people were willing to invest in something they loved. And he said that school was a sleeping giant. Those people throwing the ice cubes at those Kentucky fans, they did that because, well, one, they were drunk. And also probably because they didn't have the emotional maturity to recognize that threatening someone who's a different team is not a mature response. But they did it because they knew deep down LSU was not going to win that game. They did not see a path towards them having a celebratory team or a win. And that is where we are as a country right now. People do not see a way to prosperity or to safety, and so they are throwing ice, pardon the pun. People do not see a way that they will be okay, so they are chucking ice at people they perceive as different. When Nick Saban came to LSU, it was a stone soup situation. He told the people that they had value and that they had talent and that they had resources, and if they invested that talent and their resources in their own home, they could do very well. I have been to LSU games on and off for the last 2.5 decades since he came here, and I have not seen that same type of vitriol towards opposing fans as I did when LSU was perpetually losing. Most of the people who are fighting hard to take away your rights are being crushed by the same ideologies they are trying to force onto you. Most of the people with those exoskeletons of gender and sex and faith in God, they deeply want to have an interior skeletal system. They want to know they are loved as much as this church loves trans people and black people and poor people and anyone that this country has decided to throw away. So what are we called to do as a religious people right now in this storm until the storm breaks and there is a change? And I think it's 2 things. The first is to take care of yourself. This means do the things you need to do to protect yourself and the people you care about, which includes going to therapy. I promise this is not about any one individual of you, but I think everyone should go to therapy. This means exercising, moving your body to help your heart and your muscles work through and process and metabolize the cortisol and the anxiety and the anger and the grief you may be feeling. This means eating good food, both healthy and fun. This means you need to take... No, I mean like you need to eat both. The kale salad and the jelly beans, okay? And it means you need to spend extra time stabilizing yourself. And that is what we did as a church, as a community yesterday, because it was not just this church. That was the celebration that naturally comes out of a church full of healthy people. The second thing we need to do is to love the hell out of this world. With the exception of a few grifters who are trying hard to take your money and to divide this country, the majority of people who are trying to remove rights from immigrants and women and any of the groups, they need to know that they are loved. We need to love the hell out of them and out of this world. Because this comes down to the God question. Do people get fixed because we tell them or tell ourselves to be fixed? Or is there some other force working to help us grow towards the sun? I believe that latter is the case. If you put a plant in the right place with the right elements and you provide it the right soil and water, it will provide the food and the shelter and the joy that it does, all by being what it is. So first, take care of yourself so that you can celebrate the fact that you exist. And second, keep your heart so wide open and so vulnerable and so clever and so curious that people who are in your presence have the ability to heal and to grow, so that violence will stop and oppression will stop. And this country will be healthy again. Let's sing.
All right, let's sing out, huh? This is a fun one. You gotta keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around. You gotta keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. You gotta keep your hearts wide open, though the waves wanna push you around.
benediction is from the words of our closing act last night, Chris Matthews. When faith is hard to find, whenever hope is hard to find, remember that hate gets tired. Keep that steel in your spine. Go in peace, go in love. Amen.
Keep your heart wide open. Tell the waves what to push you around. You gotta keep your heart wide open. You gotta keep your heart wide open. Till your faith brings you back to solid ground. You gotta keep your arms wide open. You gotta keep your arms wide open. Though the waves want to push you around. You gotta keep your arms wide open. You gotta keep your arms wide open till your faith brings you back to solid